Hello, my paint-loving friends. Today we will be finally getting into this White Night set of 28 paints that Kimberly sent over to me. I purchased these from her. She gave me 4 little extra bonus paints to try. I'll explain what those are later. These down here are all metallics, and we are going to swatch and do a painting with them and just have a good time today. I have this Legion Stonehenge sample pack out to show you that I just cut off little strips of that and taped down to my paper down here so that we could swatch the 7 metallic paints down on this bottom row on both black and white. I thought that would be kind of fun to try this. I was going to grab my big sheet of it, and then I'm like, wait, I think I have the little sampler pack, so these are awesome. You will see a little overlap from this previous page because I am on the very last page of this Etcher sketchbook. Can you believe it? So anyway, this last page is glued. The binding is glued a little differently, so I'm losing about 1/2 inch on this side to get it flat over here. So that's why you're seeing the previous page poke through. Let's get started. That first one, that zinc white, is not opaque enough, even if you didn't swatch it in water, to be any kind of coverage, but it would be fun, I think, to mix with the other colors and make more pastel-like colors. That yellow ochre is actually way more transparent than most yellow ochres that I have seen and used, so it's kind of interesting, and I do end up using it in my painting because it adds a really nice rich color to my painting, so that's kind of fun. I like that one way better than some others. And it's neat because this set has 2 oranges. One is a more light orange and one is a deep orange, and I really like oranges, so that does not bother me at all. So you can see the Titian red there is actually very orange. It's very beautiful. I love it. So what you're not seeing in this swatching is I am wetting the square first, and oh, here I mess up real quick, so let me explain this first. I dropped my brush and it dropped into the orange, and when I was swatching that, I'm like, wait a minute, this color shouldn't have all this orange in it. And I realized when I dropped it, I got into the wet orange, so I had to start over on that one. That Quin Lilac has the heart on it, and the hearts are Kimberly Crick's favorite colors, so I went ahead and indicated on this swatch sheet which ones are her favorites out of these sets. This set, I should say. But anyway, back to how I'm swatching. What you're not seeing is that I am wetting every swatch square first, and then I'm laying the paint over the top and trying to get a gradient. And sometimes I have to wipe the brush off to get a good gradient, and sometimes just pulling it down into the water does a good enough gradient. Because some colors are stronger than others, and so they'll last longer through that water. So if you really want to see the light version, you do have to dab your brush off. Anyway, once I get a good gradient and then I dab in some more mass tone at the top, what you're not seeing is I reach for my table salt and put some salt on it. And so what's cool about you guys being able to watch these in real time, just like the last time I swatched like this, is that you can see how, as they're drying, because this process does take a little bit, that the salt is doing its thing. And so it's really fun for you guys to see. I was surprised that red ochre was so light. So that one is definitely one that could benefit from a moment with water on it before you use it, if you want it to be a deeper color. That burnt umber is just beautiful, and you can see how light you can get it by just barely touching it with water, and then how deep you can get it by having that water activate the pigment, and wow, it's just a really beautiful dark brown. Now that Van Dyke brown is also one of my favorite browns. When I was swatching this one, I was like, oh yeah, I do love the Van Dyke browns. They're just beautiful. Why is that? I don't know. I really like Van Dyke browns, and I guess we'll just leave it at that. Now watch this next one, this neutral black. Whoa, look at that spread. Oh my goodness. So this is definitely one I had to dab off. Did I? No, I didn't. Oh, I should have dabbed that off on the paper towel to get an even lighter color, because it does not dry shift too much, in my opinion. Now it does later on the painting, which I find interesting, but it didn't here on the swatch. Now I'm using the metallic colors. This is the Silver Light. And because I had just started swatching all of these in water, I swatched these metallics in water as well. And I probably shouldn't have. I didn't need to, because you have to activate these with water to get them going anyway. Well, to get them going really well. So you can see that I do the first layout of the color, and then I have to go back over it to deepen the color. But I do feel like I get a pretty good representation of each of them, and it was fun to use the black paper. I bought a whole sheet of it, a whole pad of it that I showed you guys in a previous art haul, and I haven't used it yet, so it will be really fun to pull it out at some point and find something really cool to do with it. And last video, or was it? Yeah, I think the last video I had some fun metallic markers, and I told you guys I had even more. Plus I have all these metallic paints now, and I think we could do something pretty darn interesting with that black paper. And because this black paper was so raised off of the surface, I felt comfortable swatching right next to each other. On the others, I'm obviously letting the sides dry before I go back in, and they don't fully dry before I get back into them, and some do bleed, but you know, it's okay. It's just a test sheet. And the reason I do the swatching on my Etcher sketchbook and make a swatch sheet for my palette is to see if I want to change the color layout in any way. So you'll see when I get all the browns down on that third row of swatching, I do end up changing the order of the paints before I do a swatch sheet for the palette. And I'm not going to show you the swatch sheet for the palette, but that is something that I'll share with my Patreons. And I do have a Patreon site where I give you a lot of extra content. You'll get an extra video, at least one every month. You'll get an original or print postcard. You have the option to get prints of artwork or original artwork. Anyway, it's just a fun area to be over. And we just kind of do more stuff. I do live streams for my Patreons. So go check it out. I'll put the link on the screen and in the description box below if you're interested. Also, don't think that you have to go over there to support me. Just watching this video, hitting the like button, and commenting once in a blue moon if you feel comfortable letting me know you're there. I really appreciate that, and it does help me a lot. So thank you all. That ruby color that I'm working on right now is so pretty. It's just gorgeous. So Kimberly said she had a little note on her sheet that it's only 2 Starlight Fast Intense. So I imagine the gradient of that will fade fairly quickly, but we'll do our normal light fast testing on these. I'll get these swatched out and put in the window eventually. And that's something I also share over on my Patreon site if that's something you might be interested in seeing sometimes. That cobalt blue sure is pretty. You can see real quick that violet is bleeding into the quinacridone lilac, but it's such a pretty bleed. I really like that. So you can see I can get that cobalt blue a little bit darker. And this yellowish green, I don't like this color. I thought I liked it when I swatched it. It reminded me of the May green of Schminka's that I just recently tried out. And I'll link that video for you guys. And when I actually used it in my painting, though, it wasn't very good. I didn't enjoy that color. In fact, the greens are really lacking in this set, and I probably should pull out a green from my other 12 set of White Nights and add to this. I did end up making my own green by mixing the azure with a yellowish green and the olive green kind of together and a little bit of yellow. And I did get a green that I was happy with in the painting, but that was a lot of work, and I realized then how much I really love my convenience greens. That umber is a very light tinting color. You can see by dabbing the brush in, I can darken it, but it's kind of interesting when you put it on, like you mix it up with water, it looks a little gray in the pan, but it comes out on the paper a very nice brown, actually. It's kind of a greenish gray brown. I like it. It's just weird when you put water on it because it looks gray. It's so weird. Mars brown, another beautiful brown. Love that one. And I'm not giving you all the pigment information because it's written right there below them, so I'm hoping you can see that. And I finally remember, oh yeah, I have the 4 little half pans, and the Indian yellow is one of Kimberly's favorites, and I can see why. It's a beautiful yellow. And I am swatching on the part of the Etcher sketchbook where the sizing is a little bit messed up on that far edge, but it's okay. It's still very pretty. Another PR 122. She also had a favorite PR 122 in the Roses set, and you can tell why. And she mixes this PR 122 in a mixture with the PB 28 down below, and you'll see that it's a DIY Misty Morning right under the one I'm swatching right now, this cobalt turquoise, which is another beautiful color. So this is her DIY Misty Morning, and when I'm doing this swatching, it doesn't look like anything special, but when it dries, watch out. Here they are, all dry. Look at these metallics. They're so pretty. And we'll start at the top. Did the mass tone swatch thingy over the top of them. Some real fun salt effects there. Gotta ignore the page underneath. That makes it a little hard to see what's going on. All right, there they are. So pretty. So I start right into my painting here, and I just wet a stripe across that, and I drop in the Quin Lilac and the violet. Now that violet is not light fast at all, but in my sketchbook, I don't care. It's such a pretty color. I'm definitely going to be using it up. Do the same thing with that red stretch across there, and look how that paint bleeds. It's really interesting. It's really spectacular. So I'm doing just a more blocky, I don't even know what to call the style of painting that I'm trying, but the reference photo is pretty detailed, and I just wanted to challenge myself by doing just big blocks of color instead of a lot of detail. I just wanted to put through the idea of what you might be looking at. And I think this would have worked better if I had felt better, and I'll explain more about that later. Anyway, it's fun, and it's something that I want to try again, probably with this same reference photo. And I just was impatient. The Etcher sketchbook, especially if you tape it down, stays wet a very, very, very long time. And some of this painting would have greatly benefited from allowing certain areas to dry more first. On the other hand, I also got really gorgeous, beautiful effects by having the colors bleed into each other. I will definitely be revisiting this painting very soon. Well, guys, there's something I haven't told you, and I am really sick. So this painting is probably not really finished, but let me show it to you up close. It's all I feel I can do right now, and still have a video out for you tomorrow. It's 4:30, and I still have like 4 hours of editing, so there it is. All right. So much fun, though, painting. I just am tired. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now. Beep, 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 beep. Here they all are dry. Look at these. Did I say are dry? Can I have my foot back? Ah, please have my foot back. So naughty. Okay, okay, oh no. You can love on it. Just don't bite my foot. Let go. Can I have it back? Did you fall asleep? Ow! Why are you biting me? You're so rude. Okay, hopefully she stopped attacking me and she's just going to take a nap now. Oh, her paw's stuck in it. There we go. You wore them all out. Except for that one. They're so cute.